Hello everybody and welcome to the Australian eCrit series, the Western Division race. My name is Jesper Anker, and if you're just joining us from the Eastern race, well, welcome over here on Zwift Community Live, where the majority of all the racing is actually happening live broadcasted out onto the big screen here on Facebook. And this Western eCrit series is gonna be good. So every week, every Tuesday at 7 o'clock, they race against each other to gain points towards an overall standing, which then gives them an invitation which qualifies them to race at a live venue in Melbourne in the middle of September. These racers have been racing for 7 weeks straight now to try and gain points towards that overall standing, and it's shaping up towards the top. In 4 seconds time, the races are going to get underway here in the Western Division, race 7. Just like the Eastern eCrit series, the riders are going to get off at a high speed, and I actually gotta admit something. Earlier in that race, at the very end, I pretty much lost the voice, and I'm struggling. You can feel it in the throat. So, if this broadcast is a bit more on the lower end, well, I do apologize. I'm trying to get the energy back, because that race was tough both on the racers and myself. So, I need all the energy you guys can provide us with today out here on course. I do see a current leader from the Western Division out on course rocking the Maratona des Dolomites kit, Mr. Ben Simpson. I was met by two of his good mates in Sydney. I believe it was Mark Madden and Daniel Madden, two really nice guys who watched me as I tried to get the virtual reality build for Zwift to work for a good hour. While we were chatting eCrit, talking about Ben Simpson and how he's been rocking it up here in the Western eCrit series so far. And the Madden family, if you're watching out there, thank you so much for being awesome in Sydney, and hope you guys are enjoying the Zwift water bottles that were only handed out in Australia. Anyway, they're really cool, and let's get the racing underway. Richard Cook, another name to look out for in the Western Division. Richard Cook, Richard Gills, Ben Simpson, these are the three main riders who've been racing every week, who are currently sitting on the 3 top spots on the podium. And the way this has been going down has been kind of interesting so far, because in the Western Division, in the Eastern Division, it's been such a big peloton that getting away, going on a solo breakaway can be quite a difficult task to muster. But here in the Western Division, these 3 riders, Richard Cook, Gills, and Ben Simpson, have taken turns winning these heavyweight bouts. In between, I mean, one day it's a TKO going this way, the other day it's a KO going the other way. I mean, these 3 riders, they're really good at picking their battles and picking the right moment to go onto the attack, so we'll keep an eye on them. We also got Mr. Hoskin out here, who has been racing in that tax kit quite a lot, just not good enough to get in the top spots on the podium. He's getting used to being a bridesmaid, but nonetheless, he's putting out a solid effort, getting a good workout. Over on the right hand side, you may see a bunch of names not from down under, not from Australia. Of course, everyone is allowed to race. Zwift is all about having fun, getting a workout, actually getting stronger on the bike. But for the sake of the actual qualifying for the event in Melbourne, you have to be a resident and a citizen of Australia. So if you're from Japan like Ikeba, or you're from Spain like Arroyo, you can race, you can have fun, but at the end of the day, in the official results, you will not go down as a finisher. As we see, Chen is also out there with the Maratona des Dolomites kid from the eFondo, another rider who did great last week while I was down in Australia working with the Zwift crew in Auckland, Sydney, and Melbourne. So while I was gone last week, there was the 6th installment of the Western eCrit series race, and let's take a look at how that went down. So looking at the results, we had Jeffrey Creel of Team Vision finishing first, as what's happening here? I dropped my keyboard for a second, and it looks like the cameraman had a bit of a spasm. Jeffrey Creel in first place at 3.77 watts. Second place, Carl Thompson, Rowan Whitefield, Rupert Walsh, who couldn't be here today, Ben Simpson, Richard Cook, John O'Bates, Paul Morgan, Stephen Cheng, Mikey H, and Steve Yates, with Richard Gill coming into 12th place. So, new names entering the field here in the 6th and 7th edition of the eCrit series so far. Winning gives you 20 points, second place gives you 19, and you work downwards from that. So here we go into the racing again. Sorry, I just got a text message I just had to take a quick look at. Sorry for the diversion of attention there, as Riders from all around the world have been watching the Western eCrit earlier today, the Eastern, and they're still buzzing from that result with Erin Dawn, Savatsky, and Herfoss coming down to the wire. And if you want to know who walked away with that one, you're going to have to head over to the Zwift Facebook page at GoZwift to watch the replay of the finish. It will not disappoint, I can promise you that. Riders out on course, still very much together. We got Elias, Keane, Simpson, Cook, Gills, Chen all together in the front as usual. The Western race, also Steve Yates is up here. Usually in the Western race, they take it they don't take it easier in the final part. There's just less riders to tag off the front. Therefore, they can kind of keep it all together, look each other on. Halfway through the race, when you've warmed up and you know who's got the legs and who don't, that's when you then tag off the front and start pulling your punches. But up until now, they're just, resting in their corner. They've got their coach blowing their nice towel, giving them water. And that's what they're doing right now out on course. Actually looks like Keane is the first one to put down power on the front with that nice looking Tron bike, and also rocking the Zwift vintage kit. Is that Zwift Oz kit? No, it's a Zwift. It's a 100-mile kit. That's what it is. So it's a Century kit, which Keane went off the front. He's being joined by Ben Simpson and Chen early on, and we'll see how Cook and company react. And it looks like they reacted just in time. Let me give 1 second just to read this message, and I'll be right back to you. So, great racing going on all around. Okay. And it's done. Sorry about that. But as you may know, I do actually work for Zwift, and when I'm not streaming, I'm also doing partially most of the social media aspect of Zwift. So while we're streaming here and there's a bit of a lull in the action, I can just attend to a quick other matter, which you just did, and now we're back to it, and it won't happen again. So at the front, we got Chen, Simpson, Cook, Keane, and it looks like they have distanced a few riders, with Gills being dropped 2 seconds back, and he's got to make a decision. Is he going to bridge across now, or is he going to hope that somebody else will do the pacing for him? It looks like he's got a lucky friend out there who is going to bring him right back to the front group, popping that drafting power up. So Cook, Ben Simpson, Keane, Chen are going to be joined by Sicano, Gills, and company any second now. So the first 5 kilometers down, relatively good pace, sitting at about 3.74 watts per kilogram all around. These guys still have another 0.5 to 0.6 watts per kilogram to work with out on course. So nothing too serious just yet, as we're 5 kilometers in on the 43-kilometer race. And if you're watching over on Zwift Community Live and you're enjoying this broadcast, make sure to click that like button below to see more broadcasts like this. If you're watching as well, we'd love to hear from you in the comment section below to tune in to, get your voice heard over on the broadcast. That is mostly appreciated, as you're essentially my co-commentator. I'm sitting here in my nice studio commentating this, and you're going to be my Sean Yates, you're going to be my Robbie McEwen, you're going to be the call commentator. And thank you so much for tuning in tonight, wherever you are in the world. It could even be morning, it could be afternoon. Anyway, thank you for watching and cheering on these riders as they put out real efforts out in the virtual world of Zwift. Going over under the finish line banner for the first time today, 6 kilometers in. They're going to get a power-up, as we're seeing the Aero power-up being popped on the front. Of course, this is the eCrit series powered by KISS. Keep it simple, stupid. If you don't know what KISS is a race organizer out on Zwift. One of the premier and earliest editions of racing is actually powered by KISS. And the whole idea behind this is keep it simple, stupid, meaning everything is allowed. If you want to race without a helmet, you can race without a helmet. If you want to wear a TT kit, you can wear a TT kit. If you want to use power-ups, you're more than welcome to use power-ups. As long as the efforts you're putting out are sincere and real, you can do whatever you like to please. And to make sure that's being kept up to pace, a Zwift anti-doping agency are doing their best to keep everybody honest and up to par with all the latest regulation out on course. But of course, Zwift racing is just about having fun and getting stronger. The result is always in the second opinion. But again, why do you race? To get that higher spot on the podium. That's why you race. But at the end of the day, the byproduct of that is that you get stronger, you get fitter, and when you go outside, that's when you can show your mates you've been training and you're getting ready, and those Zwift miles are working out. So we got Richard Kills made up, going to the front in that Zwift vintage kit. He got caught out earlier, but now he's gone to the front, and he will not get caught out again this time. Now he's sitting ready at the front. If somebody else is going to attack, he's going to go just with it. We see Ben Simpson now. I have seen a picture of his pain cave, actually, and It looks like it's gonna be quite hot in there, Ben Simpson, but you've just gotta produce the watts, sitting at 105 points overall. You're looking set to maybe go to that finale in Melbourne in September if you just keep showing up every Tuesday, keep making sure to finish top 10, and then I mean, where are we now? We are in the end of May, so there's June, July, August. So 3 months, which is 4, 8, 12. There's about 13 races left. 13 times 20 is like 260 points. So there's still 260 points to be gathered. So nothing is over yet, as we see Keane now again going off the front. Ben Simpson reacting to it, but with 260 points left, and Ben Simpson already accumulated about 100 points, if he just races for another month or two, he's pretty much cemented at the top. He's cemented his place to go to Melbourne in September. But what you got to remember is that we're heading into winter in Australia. Even though I was there a week ago and it was like 20 degrees, sunny, and it was perfect. I mean, I didn't get much of a cyclist tan because my only my only base layer is a long sleeve shirt, so I can't actually get a tan on my arms. So I need to fix that. But it was nice. It was nice weather, but that's not going to keep up. As you head into the winter months, more and more riders are going to head inside. Stronger riders are going to come inside. So you've got to jump on now while you can and get the points and, you know, start to make up a lead. Because when those stronger and Western riders actually make the jump inside onto the smart trainer, you've got to have that lead. You got to be ready. You have the advantage. You're the diehard Swifter. This is your home turf. Are you going to allow some outsider to come inside and take over when you're ready on Watopia, on London, on Richmond? No, you're not. You're going to get on right now, and you're going to ride, and you're going to gain points, and you're going to show them just how it's done. That's what they're doing right now. Ben Simpson sitting in there at 5 watts per kilogram, making it down now to 2 watts per kilogram. You got Chen, you got the newcomer Keane, who's looking really keen to go off the front in this race. You got Elias at the back, moving up to 8 watts per kilogram, just moving a tiny bit up. It's great to see new Australian faces make it onto the course now, because that's one of the things the Western eCrit has been struggling with, the actual level of Australians taking part. So if you are in the Western division, in the Western part of the Australia, I do highly recommend you jump on and give this a go. I mean, with the current level of the playing field, you could jump in and have a really good shot at getting top 5. As any second now, these riders are going to head up the Trafalgar Square climb for the first time today now. Any second, and we'll see who's got the legs to give this a go. I expect to see 5-6 watts per kilo, but nothing insane like in the Eastern Crit where they go to 10 watts per kilo. So we'll see Ben, we'll see Chen, we'll see Keane. They'll all go to 6 to 7 watts. Just try to mark each other because this is the first time up of 7. So we're going to see a featherweight from Ben Simpson hitting that 5 watts per kilo, 7 watts per kilo. Still looking around, just maintaining, but nothing too crazy yet. Richard Cook goes to 8 watts per kilogram. Just making sure not to get dropped here, and I'm going to make a verdict here. I'm going to make a prediction. 3rd or 4th time around, this group is going to go from about 10 Australians down to 3, down to 2. We're going to have the 3 Musketeers out here at the very end of things. And who those 3 Musketeers will be, I guess only time will tell as the riders have gone off the front. And it's funny enough, it always seems to be night when we do these eCrit series events. Right now it's night again in London. None of these riders have brought their cycling lights, it looks like. So in the truest spirit of KISS, they're keeping it simple. They're keeping it stupid, as some might say. No cycling helmet, no lights. It might be time. They should get lucky they don't get spotted by the police out there, of course. Otherwise, that would, of course, be a fine. But Watopia? Do you have police? Oh, sorry, Zwift. Is there police on Zwift? I guess you just gotta jump on and ride and see if you can spot him. I mean, there is Scotty the Squirrel hiding in several places out on the course. And have you spotted all those places? I know the James Gill Titanium Geek manual actually have a few spots where he spotted him and put it in screenshots. So see if you can find them all. It's a good little fun treasure hunt. Richard Cook at the front at 3 watts per kilogram. Heart rate is low, pace is steady. Riders looking around, 10 kilometers in, finishing the first lap off 7 out on course here in the Eastern Division. We're aiming for a finish time of about 55 minutes to an hour out on course. So another 40 minutes of racing to be done, as several riders, they're liking this pace. They like the fact that it's calm, collective, and it's civilized. Nothing, no Troy here forced to attack off the front. No Nazi as an instigator. No Drew Jin, ultra-human athlete specimen to just go nuts. No, in the Western eCrit, everyone sits down and they are enjoying their tea, and then at one point they say, oh, we run out of tea, maybe it's time to wake up and go off the front. That's kind of how the Western eCrit has shaped up for the last 7 weeks. It's quite an interesting race, and it's kind of fun social experiment to watch as the racers, they don't have that, there's no anarchy in this. It's very diplomatic, it's very controlled. There's not that one rider saying, you guys want a slow pace? Okay, I'm going to go off the front here. It's very civilized, and it's just law of the fittest. It's survival of the fittest. That's what it is. It's law of the jungle. Every time around, somebody's going to put up the pace just by a notch. I mean, they're just going to take another notch, and then another notch, and then another notch. And then as every time you go up a notch, another rider goes out the back because he doesn't have that notch on his gearbox. And that's just how this race usually comes down to it. We have seen before in the past that some Japanese riders gone off the front, and Richard Gills or Cook has been ready to the task, attacked on, gotten a toe. I mean, that's racecraft right there. And if that works out, then kudos to you for doing just that. I mean, you got to take advantage of your surroundings. If it's possible, if it's available to you, go for it, go do it. Anything, I mean, any advantage you can get, legal of course, should be utilized, should be exploited to the maximum length. Zwift is a game. There's power-ups in this game. There's an RNG, a random number generated element to this, and that's why cycling is fun. I touched on this earlier in the Eastern eCrit. Zwift is a game. Cycling is technically a game. I mean, you can have the same conditions, the same riders, the same fitness, but if you run that race 10 times in a row, you're gonna have 10 different scenarios in the most likely case. I mean, that's just cycling. You're going to learn every time it's going to be different, and the same thing with this. One time you're going to get an aero power-up, next time you're going to get a feather. Maybe you don't get one at all, maybe you're stuck with an experience power-up, but all you need to know is that you need to do something about it. No one else will do it. You need to do something about it. You need to have the initiative and the calmness to do, well, attack at just the right moment, or start the sprint, or be in the right gear, or be hydrated, be energized with gels. And it's all those small micro decisions that adds up into the macro game. That's why I love cycling. Let me know why you love cycling, either over on social media at GoSwift or here in the Facebook chat. What is it that draws you to this great sport of metal steed racing on our bikes, on our canyons, on our specialized, our Mangos, our Giants, our Bora, Argon, whatever bike you're riding on? What's a Pinarello? What's it to you? Why do you get on every time? What's so special about being one with the bike? Let me know. Social media, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, or right here on Zwift Community Live. Always love interacting with you, as there is still a certain calmness over the pack. Ben Simpson sitting at 170 beats. We got Chen at 4.8 watts per kilogram, both in the Maratona des Dolomites kit sitting in. Sashiano is at the front. You got Keen 1 second off the front as well, but nothing too decisive yet. Keen looks restless though. Maybe Keen is the uncommon denominator almost. Maybe he is the one. Maybe he's the outlier that's gonna change this up. Maybe he's the one that's gonna add spice to this stew. Maybe he's the one that's going to be the spicy chili on the burrito. We'll see how he's going to go off now, as there's still another 30 kilometers to go out on course, 6 laps left to go. And I think all eyes have to be on Keen, as he looks to be the only rider really attentive to the task at hand, not really happy with everything going on right now, not happy to sit in. He wants to inject a bit of pace. Maybe he's feeling good. Maybe he wants everyone else to know he's feeling good, so it becomes a mental game. Anyway, it's a good race we have in our hand right now. So the pack is down to about 10 riders, with 6 or 7 riders from Australia in the race so far, as we are on board with Mr. S. Chen. It looks like Steve Yates has been blown out the back, along with a few other Australians as well. Good racing so far, but 20 minutes in, it looks like their race is shut and done. About to turn left here at Big Ben of the Westminster Bridge. Going to go straight up, go over Trafalgar Square climb up to Whitehall, turn left, I shall return right, and then they've done another lap of the Classics course. The Classics course is about 4 kilometers in length, 4.5 kilometers in length, with a total elevation change of about 25, 30 meters, so it's not that much. Yet, where those 30 meters comes in, that's where you can make the difference. I chatted with Anthony Vegan Porsche just after the race because he is a good mate of mine, and he said that final ascent up the Whitehall climb, it just killed me, Jesper. I mean, the pace have been high all the way around, but that final 200 meters at like 7%, that is so tough, especially considering that there's no respite afterwards. You go under the 1 kilometer banner to go, and then you've got Mitch Maycock going off the front. You got Savatsky kicking it off from the Admiralty Arch banner. If you're just not feeling it, if you're not ready, it's going to be a long day out in the saddles. We're on board with Ben Simpson. Ben first over the top here. We got Keane, we got Chen, we got Cook reacting to it. Gales a further bit behind, and as the engines are putting on out on London course, we got engines in the sky flying by, and it looks like Chen has been dropped, and that could spell the end to his 7th race here in the Western eCrit series for him. Richard Cook off the front now, a 1 second gap down to Ben Simpson, but it looks like Ben Simpson is slowly going to claw his way back on as he's sitting at 182 beats per minute. And he's right back on. Mr. Elias at 1 second behind now. He's got to make up the gap. It looks like he is packing quite the package on there as he's trying to get back up. Rocking the level 25 kit, but with a 1 second gap, with Ben Simpson sitting on the back there, Elias has to move around here. He starts to come around this rider and bridge across, but he's sitting at 190 beats almost. He has to really dig deep now. He's got to attack, as Ciano as well behind, 4 seconds behind, also a victim of the Trafalgar Square climb. It looks like Elias though, 1 more second, can he get back on? He's sitting at almost 5 watts per kilo. He is chugging along, and he has to get back on now, as he does, going around, and he's gonna launch back into the wheel of Ben Simpson. And we've got, looks like 4 riders in the front group: Mr. Elias, Ben Simpson, Richard Cook, and Keane. Keane now popping the air power up, seeing that Elias gets back on, popping the air power up, and now getting ready to go off the front. But sitting at 3 watts, sitting at 4 watts, he'll get another power up going underneath the start finish banner this time around. And Keane, I like his riding style. I mean, this definitely deserves a ride on. He is not sitting in. He is not letting anyone else do the work in the front. He is saying, you know what? If you're so keen to sit in, I'm gonna let you sit in. But to sit in, you need to sit at 5 watts, 6 watts per kilogram. Deal? Comprendo? That's what Mr. Keane is doing today, and like it. I'm a really fan of attacking race styles. I love seeing long breakaways. I love seeing massive power wattage bazookas, as GCN would say. And Keane, he is definitely, let's put him up. He's nominated for the wattage bazooka so far, but for that to happen, he has actually to go all the way to the finish line, keeping up this mentality. But we'll see if he can make it all the way there. So Keane, Simpson, Cook, Elias, Chen being dropped, Ciano being dropped, Richard Gales being dropped, which is a big upset as he's sitting top 3 right now in the Western eCrit series. Looking good is Keane on the front. 22 minutes of racing, 1 more lap, and we're halfway through all the racing down on course. So, as predicted earlier, halfway through, and we've got 4 riders left. 4 riders left in the front competing for this victory. It'll be interesting to see who's going to take it. Ben Simpson has done great so far. Cook has done great, but Keane, he is the unknown factor to this racing. How is he going to play out? He is the young gun. He's going to come in here, guns blazing. It'll be interesting to see if Simpson and Cook brought their bulletproof vest, because Keane is not holding anything back. He's got that Magnum 45, and he is ready to play Russian roulette with anyone standing in his way. It could be a Mexican standoff right here to the finish line now. It's Richard Cook now again at the front. Keane second wheel, Simpson third, Elias all the way at the back. He had to struggle to get back on, and it looks like he could be weighing a good 82, 85 kilos. Let's check that on swiftpower.com actually to get confirmation on that. It looks like this could be his first race out here in the Western eCrit. I hope to see him back, as he is doing great so far, and with that physique he should be looking great for a sprint finish. So in the front here we've got Elias, who's sitting at 81 kilos actually, and he is a senior racer who's been doing better and better out on course, with an FTP sitting at about 3.6 watts per kilogram. So he's in good company here, but he's going to struggle next time up the Whitehall climb, I do believe. But it's good to see Michael Elias out there on course. Let's take a look at Mr. Keane, which is Craig Keane out here, who has got an FTP of about 4 watts per kilogram, who's been winning the last maybe almost 5 races he's entered with a great show display of power out there with a max heart rate of 192, weighing in at 78 kilos. So Craig Keane and Michael Elias are 2 newcomers to the racing out on course, and it'll be interesting to see how Richard Cook and Ben Simpson act to the task at hand. Whew! So far, Australian eCrit today has been on fire. It's been great racing. It's always a pleasure to wake up every Tuesday morning, turn on my computer, turn on the lights, pull down, get onto the London course or Watopia course or Richmond and get ready to watch some excellent A-level racing out on course. I do look forward, though, afterwards to getting some breakfast. It's been a long morning, but just like the races out there, we must prevail. So what you gotta think to yourself, Jesper, is that when you start to hurt, everyone else is also hurting. So as you're hungry for breakfast, all the viewers out there and all the racers out there are also hungry for breakfast. But the question is, who's gonna tolerate that for the longest? Who's gonna cave in? Who's the first one to get breakfast? It's not gonna be me. It's not gonna be you. It's not gonna be them. I mean, we're all fighting for it now. But that's when you start to ramble on. That's when your mind starts to play games with you. Moving on to the racing at hand. Ben Simpson at 2.6 watts per kilogram, 20 more beats to work with towards his overall heart rate. Sitting good, sitting at 4 watts per kilos. Interesting to see he's looking at their FTPs. Craig Keane and Ben Simpson are very equal in that regards, with Richard Cook also looking good, representing the Aussie Hump Day ride out on course as well. So Elias at 3.6 watts per kilogram at the back. He might be looking at a new FTP out on course, weighing in at 81 kilograms, and he's definitely putting in a solid effort here on the London course. But next time out Trafalgar Square, that's gonna be the real determining factor. So that's gonna be really tough with a lighter rider such as Ben and Richard putting down the hurt on the tougher and newcomers out on course. So again, you know the drill. They see Big Ben up there in the corner. They're about to turn left. They're gonna go up to Trafalgar Square, and then they're ready for another lap. As they're going to be racing for 43 kilometers today out on course. It looks like this race, the average speed is about 42 to 43 kilometers an hour, which is 7 kilometers less than the East eCrit. Looks like they might finish in about just over an hour's time out on course. But here we go now. Get ready for it. They can see the climb just in front of them. And this is where I expect Ben, Richard, and Keane to put down the hurt to just try and shell out Elias from the back. One effort up this climb, and I think Michael could be out the back already. Solid effort, but it's not over just yet, because if he was to get dropped, there is a group behind forming up with Ciano and Chen, which he could drop back onto, and it looks like Michael Elias is ready to the task. He knows last time he got dropped on this climb, he's not going to let that happen this time, as Keane kicks it up to 10 watts per kilogram, Cook up to 8, Ben Simpson up to 9, we got Elias at 8, and he is digging deep. He will not get shot out the back this time. He's going to go to the top, and he's going to extend his energy, because he knows if he can survive this climb, he can sit on the back, and then he can draft all the other riders. And he played that perfectly. I tip my hat to you, Michael. That was excellent racecraft. That was a good move out on course. Cook sitting now first wheel, Keane third, Ben Simpson just 1 second back now, as he has got to make up a decision as he's right back on course. He's only got another like 10 beats to work with right now for Ben Simpson, so Ben has got to try and get that heart rate a tiny bit down now, as he's on that specialized S-Works timer with a red color scheme, rocking the Maratona des Dolomites kit and SIP 808 wheels. So excellent setup out on course. He just now needs to get his heart rate back down again and settle in with the watts, and that's what he's doing. He has launched himself onto the back of this freight train, and now they're just jogging along out on course, being led out by the rider in the front, which is of course Craig Keane, who looks really fit and looks like he is the man to look out for today, as we are just about halfway through the 7th installment of the Western eCrit race. Last week it was covered by Mr. Nathan. Actually, it wasn't covered by Nathan Guerra. It actually wasn't broadcasted at all, so the racers went under the radar and had a great race, I saw here. But this week they're covered, and I hope if you're racing right now and you're listening, I hope you can find a few extra watts for the entertainment of the spectators out there and for yourself. Because trust me, if you put out that extra watt, if you find that little energy reserve you didn't think you had, when, and there's not if, when you're going to be all empty at the finish line, you'll be so happy that you found those 5 extra watts, 6 watts. Because over time, it builds up, man. When you hear that little voice in your head saying, no, 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 pull off, stop, stop, change down a gear. That's when you got to listen to the other voice, the crazy Danish guy saying, come on, go, 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 go. That's what cycling is all about. That's what DS and coaching and streaming is all about. So I hope you're listening out there, and you're going to choose to listen to the voice of the angel. Whether or not that's a Danish kid, we'll see when you go on. So on the front here, we got Ben sitting at the back. We got Elias in the middle, Cook and Keen both making up the front. So they're going to go under the banner. Halfway point. Another 20 kilometers to go. Another 4 laps out on course. See whether or not they're going to start using their power-ups, hoping to get a different power-up. Especially right about now, if you've gotten a drafting power-up, you may want to spend it. We did see Troy Herfoss use his drafting power-up to the full extent earlier this morning in the Eastern eCrit, but ideally you'd want that aero power-up. So when you go underneath and you see that little light blue Turkish power shell up there, the aero power-up, my advice would be to you, keep it. Keep it. Do not use it. You may struggle, just do not use it. You're going to get to the finish line in one piece, trust me. And when you get to that finish line, Savatsky is the embodiment of that sprint. Aaron Dunn may have put in a 9:29 sprint, which is like, sorry, 9:23 I think it was, which is absolutely unreal. Like, I've never seen anyone go that fast in a sprint before. Even though he did that, because Savatsky had the aero power up and he launched it at the right moment, he still won the race. He still won the overall. He actually still did it really well. So save that aero power up, get ready for the sprint finish, and pop it just as you leave Admiralty Arch. Just as you go under the arch, 50 more meters, pop it, bam, you go. That's what you got to do. Of that sprint, this is going to sound really cocky, but I'm undefeated in the B category in that sprint. I've won the last like 3 or 4 sprints in that, and what you do is, you of course have to carry speed into it. You go under Admiralty Arch, 50 meters later, pop the aero power up, and then you ramp it up. You go up to 6, 7, 8, 9, and then before you know it, there's 300 meters to go, and that's where you launch it. 300 meters, everything you've got, hit the 12 watts per kilogram, 13 watts per kilogram, and you just gotta go all the way to the finish line and just dig deep. That's my advice to you out there if you're listening here in the Western eCrit series. 24 kilometers almost in now. Half an hour of racing, and the prediction of about an hour in total of racing on course looks to be pretty spot on. As funny enough, the weather in London right now matches the one out here I see in England behind the camera right now. It looks to be really, really, really dark and rainy and cold, but down in Australia, I hope you guys are having this nice sun out, you're having 20 degrees, a little breeze, you know, perfect weather for riding your bike. And now it's even starting to rain out on London. I mean, come on, what's going on here, weather gods? So Ben Simpson, Cook sitting at the front, just chilling at their resting heart rates. Looks like Keen has just for now given up on the idea to attack off the front, sitting in, realizing that he may be the strongest of the day, saving some energy for later on, as he may well try to go on the attack later on. So we're just going to get up the different messages to see what's going on over on Facebook. So far everyone's looking good, all the racing is on, and looking good so far. The eCrit is really, really good. Whew, I'm tired. I'm jet lag. I flew in from. So if you were at the Zwift event down under, that's really that's by far the best tour I've ever been on with Zwift. So if you were at that event, so if you're at one of the events, thank you so much for making our night. It was so much fun. You're all it's such a pleasure to chat with you and put a face to the watts. So we got home last night. I got home at like 9 o'clock last night. Due to jet lag, didn't sleep at all, and now we're waking up and we're commentating this. So just trying to keep myself awake while I keep you guys ready and up to speed and well informed on what's going on. Cook, 4.4 watts, Ben Simpson 3.9, 24.9 kilometers in. We got Simpson sitting at 170, you got Cook sitting at 158, Elias at 167, Siciano and Chen and this chasing group working well together, but the gap is growing out. You got Keen at 148, and he's got to be the man to look out for, but to be fair, this race has really slowed down. It's really Everyone's looking around. No one's really willing to put in the attack just yet, but that may just change as we're turning left any second now, heading up the Trafalgar Square climb. So we'll see how they go on, as now we're going to see the watts go up once again. Always good fun, this climb. It always comes as a bit of a shocker for the racers out there, because they're not used to it. They may not be ready for it, and they may already be struggling. That should not be the case here in the Western eCrit series, as the racers on the front have been sitting at 3.5, 3 watts per kilo. I mean, we even got Craig Keane at 144 beats per minute. He's got another 50 beats to work with. So it'll be interesting to see how he goes. And this time, we got Elias on the back. He's been lulled in by the efforts. He's sitting at the back here now, 5 watts per kilogram. Does he have what it takes? You can see him in the middle. He's making his way up in that level 25 kit. Learn from his mistakes. He's not going to get spat out the back this time either. Sitting in, and he's looking good in the middle of the pack. As Richard Cook, first one to crest the top. 7 watts per kilo. You got Keane at 5, Simpson at 6, Elias at 4. And 26 kilometers in, it's still all together. Racing here is quite interesting. I mean, it's very, like, it's a typical sprinter stage, a sprinter's crit. It's all together, it's all very relaxed, and then the very, very final minutes, everyone kicks it through the roof, and that's where they've saved up and their energy reserves are at the max level. I mean, they've plugged in their phones, they plugged in the battery, and the final few laps, everybody goes, phew. That's when the lithium battery explodes because it's overcharged and they're ready to go. And I hope to see that at the very end as Keane up to 6 watts per kilogram, wanting to sit in near the front, be attentive, be ready, as he's just keeping an eye on the rest of the group. I'm thinking the name from Mexico saying, "I am being chased out on course." It's kind of funny, it's good banter, good fun, as he's sitting in this group at 41 kilometers an hour. These riders now sitting at 3 watts per kilo. I mean, they're sitting in. This is the I have no words for this. I've never seen this level of civilized racing on Zwift ever before. Like, speechless, literally speechless. This is the first time I've ever seen a group like this just agree, slow down, 2.5, 3 watts per kilogram. I mean, this is okay. I mean, bear in mind, this is an A race. This is the very front of affairs. And Ben Simpson is sitting in, Keane is sitting in, Elias is happy with it, Cook is happy with it. They're all just happy with how it's going down so far. With another 16 kilometers left of racing, they're all just happy with how it's turning out so far. And it'll be interesting to see if any of the non-Australian riders will try to kick up the pace and see if anyone will latch on, which that's what Keane is doing right now. Craig Keane listening in, trying to get up to I am being chased, not letting him go at all, and he's being chased by Craig Keane, sitting in. And Ben Simpson, first one to react to this. He's been saving his energy, he's sitting well, he's first one to react, and he gets back on. How about that? I'm liking the color scheme on the Tron bike, the neon wheels. It looks good. Looks so good. I like that. I wish I had the Tron bike. It's a difficult feat to come over, but it looks like Mr. Keane has in fact done just as he's just kicking up the pace on the front end again now. Richard Cook sitting second wheel, Ben Simpson third, Elias right on the back. Now let's take a look over on swiftpower.com to see their recent results out on course. So we've got Elias, who last time he raced the SAS Spin and Sprint, and he won. He's got a 15-second effort of 1,126 watts per kilo. Oh, sorry, watts. That's about 13 watts per kilo. He's won a few races in the B category, in the D category, in the C category. It looks like he is quite all over the place on swiftpower.com. Looking at Craig Keane, the veteran out there. He has raced a total of 29 times. He's won the EBR Asia race. He's won the VBR4 flat race. He's won the Western eCrit and the Eastern eCrit, according to this. Finishing second in... It's a very inaugural. So Craig Keane actually won the very first Western eCrit series. So that's quite a while ago, but he looks like he's back on there. So he's already got 20 points on his tally, and now he's back for more. Looking at Ben Simpson, what he's recently achieved out on course. He finished 9th in the Aussie Hump Day Ride Pretzel Ride. He finished 3rd in the Western eCrit, race 5, 2nd and 4, 1, 3 second in the second installment. Looking over at, where's he at? Looking at Richard Cook, seeing what he's been up to. Mr. Richard Cook has been 8th in the Aussie Hump Day ride, powered by Giant. He finished 6th in the Western eCrit. He finished 33rd in the Zwift eFondo. He won the West eCrit Series number 5. So racers all around, they definitely know what the taste of winning tastes like. Smell of winning? Anyway, moving on, getting away from the segment. Looks like we have a Japanese rider going off the front, Keen trying to react to this, trying to bridge across. We've seen Richard Cook do this before, and Cook is ready for it. And here we go. Finally, some action being injected into the pace. It looks like a Red Bull was popped, and suddenly this race has wings. As Mr. Keen, Craig Keen off the front, Cook ready to react, Simpson still in there. They're all trying to fight for that Japanese rider on the front now as Keen settles in. Simpson's at the back, and this has come to hurt Mr. Elias. Michael Elias, 6 watts per kilo, 7 watts per kilo, not ready for the task at hand. 2 seconds back, 1 second back. He is fighting to hang on to dear life now, trying to get back to that front group, and he's got to put in another effort. Come on, Michael, come on. One last effort, and Michael is back on that front group. But that's another match burn that shouldn't have been burned. If he was ready for it, he would have been up there. He would have been up there in no time whatsoever. So, looks like the race just making sure everyone is awake, making sure everyone is ready. As Craig Keen sitting in, Elias back up there trying to get his heart rate back down now. It's Ben Simpson, Cook was the first one to react. Simpson sat in the wheel, saved his energy, and we've got another 13 kilometers to go. Once they go underneath the start-finish banner, we've got 2 more laps to go out on course. Another 20 minutes of racing left for these riders. Everything looking good so far. According to SwiftPower.com, Richard Cook averaging 3.8 watts per kilogram, Keen at 3.8, Elias at 3.4. We got Ben Simpson at 4 watts per kilogram, Chen and Ciano further back at 4.4 and 4.2. So just because you've been spat out the back doesn't mean you're not putting out the same efforts. I mean, we've got Chen, who's actually 50 years old and older. So great racing from Chen out there. We've got Ciano, who is a senior out on course as well. 13 kilometers to go now, all back together in the front. There's a bit more calm over the pack as they're looking on, and the Australians really just trying to keep their best up. And now the voice is going. now it's giving up. Now the vocal cords have been stretched to their max, and yeah, I'm going for breakfast after this. I was the first to give up, everybody. You can have that. You can write that down in writing. So we got Cook, Simpson, Elias, Keen. I said 3 Musketeers. It looks like, well, to be fair, if you watch the movie, The 3 Musketeers with Mads Mikkelsen, the Dane, there's the D'Artagnan, and then there's the other 3, there's D'Artagnan, the stable boy, and then there are the other 3 main Musketeers. So technically there are actually 4 Musketeers. Whoever gets the girl, we'll see it when we come to the finish line here. Oh, this could be interesting. Now we got to pay attention to this. They are mingling in between another group ride, and this is where an attack could happen, and Keen is utilizing this. Craig Keen has gone off the front. He utilizes the fact that you camouflage within that group ride, and there is 5 seconds. He utilized the fact that you could actually weave in between the group rides, and Craig Keen, 10 watts per kilogram, and in the blink of an eye, there goes Craig. Craig is off the front now. He's got Cook, he's got Ben Simpson, Michael Elias, 4 seconds behind. But if I was Keen, if you're Keen right now, you've got to be keen to do the pacing. You've got to go. You've got to sit into Mr. De Keppe's wheel. You've got to get on it. He will drag you to the finish line. Ben Simpson, though, is just behind him. Just 5 seconds. Who's going to get up there? Cook, Simpson, and Elias all trying to work back together. But it looks like Keen has found himself a taxi. And this could be an express Uber as he's trying to get to that finish line first. Simpson, Cook, and Elias have to work together. The time for sleeping, the time for lulling the action is over. You've got to be attentive. You've got to be awake, because otherwise, Keen is just going to go off the front. He won the inaugural West eCrit Series race. Is he going to come back 6 weeks later and win the 7th race? We'll see what's going to happen now. The 3 riders all together, but without a doubt, Keen is looking to be the strongest, and he's latched on to I am being chased and Ikeb out there. And now he's trying to catch the next rider. He sees that Mitsutani, another rider who's been racing these Western eCrit races, is trying to catch up to him now and trying to bridge on to the next taxi out in front and trying to catch a yellow cab driver, maybe a bit faster cab driver out there now. But Keen, looking good, 5 watts per kilogram, 16 seconds. And just like that, In the middle of a kinetic group ride, Keane saw it, he utilized the attack, and he went off the front. And 17 seconds in a blink of an eye. That's what Zwift racing is about. You've gotta know what to do, when to do it, and how to do it. And Craig Keane, boom, master, just went off the front, and he did just that. 18 seconds now. And unless we see another injection of pace, I do not think these three riders are gonna come back. But then again, you gotta remember, the difference between first and second mentally is massive, but statistically, points-wise, it's only 1 point. First place gets 20 points, second place gets 19 points, so essentially you're only giving up 1 point. So if you are Ben Simpson, Cook, Elias, you've got to come to the terms with, you got to come to the terms with the conditions out on course. Keane is obviously the strongest. He looked the strongest. He looks the most attentive. He's gone off the front. He'll get 20 points. But now you've got to play your cards right so you can get 19 points out on course and get the second most and win this group sprint. As we've got 2 laps yet to go. 2 laps out on course. Craig Keane is gone. Ben, Richard, and Michael all together here in the chasing group. 300 meters to go. And they're underneath the banner. And they're just about 10 kilometers from the finish line. From the actual finish of the Western eCrit race. It'll be interesting to see now, because since this group has been shelled down to 3 riders, any attack is efficient, is effective, is worth it. So if you go to the back, if you are Elias, if you're Michael, if you put in an injection of pace, if you just accelerate like there's no tomorrow, hit 10 watts per kilogram in like 5 pedal strokes, you can catch Cook and Simpson off guard, and you can just create a gap that they cannot get back on. But you've got to do it at the right moment, because now there's nobody else to do the chasing. It's mano a mano. It's Simpson, Cook, Elias all against each other, while Keane is sailing out into the sunset with the girl. So who's going to be the first one to launch? Usually Simpson and Cook, they've got a good sighting of each other. They've got, they feel each other. They know what they're capable of. They've raced against each other, and there goes Elias, 6 watts per kilogram off the front. Not really that much of an injection of pace, but it's enough. He got a second, but it looks like he's taking it down a notch. He's not willing to go with that gap. Even though he had a gap, he was not willing to make it work. So he's sitting in now, and he's looking around. Cook at 4 watts per kilogram at the back. Again, remember, if you are going to attack, you need to be from the back, because if you attack off the front, you're essentially just dragging them along, because they're in your slipstream. You've got to use that slingshot effect instead and come around them. That's how you do an attack. And so right now in the optimal position is again Michael, spinning the cadence of 50, 60 RPM up to 70 now, moving it up a tiny bit as we're on that false flat, the ramp that Troy Herfoss has used several times to go off the front. And with 10 kilometers to go, less than 10 kilometers to go, it's looking good out there. Looks like we have a race on our hands, ladies and gentlemen. Whew. It's good. It's good to finally wake up again, because those first 25 kilometers were a bit of a long action. They were a bit slow paced, and that often happens in the Western eCrit. It's a proper sprinter's race. Sitting in, not willing to take turns. You got a bunch of strong riders all waiting for that sprint finish now, as Ben Simpson and Cook looking at each other. Who's going to be the first one to attack? They're being joined by the group ride out there that caused this split, and now they're going to interject with the race, and we'll see if they're going to have an impact on this, as the kinetic group right now is going to set the pace in the front. Even though the gap up to Craig Keane is 36 seconds, it'll be fun to see what's going to happen now out on course. As they're sitting in, drafting, we've got Mr. Ben Simpson in the Maratona kit. You've got Michael Elias in the Zwift level 25, and Richard Cook in the Strava Premium kit. Those are the 3 riders to look out for, considering that Craig Keane has already walked away with the golden platter. He's already taken the trophy at the front. We're just going to let him sail into the sunset while we focus on the 3 riders back here in the Western eCrit Race 7 out on Zwift. Anyway, how are you guys liking the difference, the new cap today? We're rocking the Ride Tour de Cure Zwift cap out there. We got to meet them, or some of the Zwift HQ got to meet those brilliant guys down under, and they gave us some merchandise, and I'm really liking this kit, especially the way this works. It looks so good, and thank you so much Tour de Cure and everything you do. It's just awesome. If you don't know who they are, go on Google Tour de Cure, and that's all you need to know. So thank you so much for all the good work you do. Such an honor. Actually, while we're giving that the plug, Michael Elias up to 6 watts per kilogram, Ben Simpson reacting to it, Richard Cook 8 watts per kilogram having to react to it last second. Maybe he too was captivated by the cap and wasn't looking at the screen for 1 second, but he's catching back up, he's sitting back in, and the attack has been nullified. But he's going to keep going. Cook is going to keep going. 6, 5 watts per kilogram, utilizing that slingshot effect. And if he can settle in now at 4 watts per kilogram, this could be a great attack out on course. Come on, Cook. You got to keep going, man. You've got to make Simpson and Elias your sous chefs. You got to go all the way to the finish now. There's no turning back. You made the gap. You're all equally strong out on course. If you can just dig in, you can do it. But it looks like Cook is not quite willing to go all the way just yet. And it's Grupo Compacto as Ben Simpson, Michael Elias both latch back on again. Elias, though, 4 seconds back, 3 seconds back, catches back on. Cook has to inject a bit of pace again now as he looked like he may have burned a match too many, but he's back on. 8 kilometers to go. We're about to hit Trafalgar Square climb for the second to last time out on course. Now here we go. Ben Simpson, Cook, Elias. Elias, the heavier of the riders, but the gap now up to Keane is 33 seconds. If there was a TT effort, if there was a strong enough effort over the top here, they could go all the way to the finish line. We'll see. Here comes Elias. First one to launch a bit of pace into this. 5 watts per kilogram. Ben Simpson sitting at 6. Cook sitting at 6 as well on the back. But it looks like Cook could be Cook now as he's at the back trying to do his best to get back on. Elias at the front. Now he's being caught over the top. He needs to keep up continuance because here comes the acceleration now. There's a gap and Elias grinding the gears. This could be the end, but thankfully for him, that's the end of the climb. He's getting back on. Now he can utilize those massive leg muscles to try and just grind his way back in, and that's what he's doing. He's on the wheel of Cook, and Cook is going to get him just on the back of the wheel on Ben Simpson. This is the fight if you're just tuning in for the 2nd, 3rd, and 4th place out on course here in the Western eCrit Series. They have 44 total kilometers of racing, 7 more kilometers to do from these riders, and we'll see how they're going to hand it out. So go to La Femme Rouge, head under, well, pay the Queen a visit once again, and then they've got another lap of the Classics course, and that's it. All the eCrit racing done for the day, and this poor Dane can get some breakfast. So, Cook, Simpson, Elias, Keane, 38 seconds. If we go up and look at him, it looks like he's still being joined by racers out there, but he's doing the majority of the work himself, sitting at 2.5 watts per kilogram. If you're Ben Simpson, you're Cook, you're Elias, there is a possibility to catch back up, but you've got to work together. You've got to, be willing to put in that effort. But it looks like they're all happy with 2nd place, which, to be fair, I do not blame them. 19 points. The thing is, do you want to risk it everything? Do you want to risk it for the biscuit? Do you want to go for 20th and maybe get 16 points? That's 4 points is a massive difference. That's what, 20% difference in total? So you've got to really, considering you can get 20 to 16, that's 4 points, 25 divided by 4, etc., 20%. That's big. That's big. That's the math they're going through their head right now, and that's what they're looking at. So they'd rather just get 19 points and go for, the minimal gain. So it's good. It's a safe bet, and it looks like these guys are playing poker the right way. They're not playing with their heart. They're playing with their brain out there. Always good to see when Simpson, Cook, Elias working together. Keane out to 42 seconds. He's injecting a bit of pace. Maybe he's listening in. Maybe he's realizing that the gap is not cementing as much as he'd like to be. But now it's looking good. Sun is coming out. 6 kilometers to go. 1 more lap. In a second, they're about to hear that bell once again, and they're going to head it up now. 1 more lap. 1 more effort. Simpson, Elias, Cook. You've heard the names. Richard, Michael, Ben, Craig Keane in the front. Already won the race pretty much. You've heard the names again and again and again. Now, one last time, it's time to see who's got what it takes. Who's got the brains, who's got the heart, who's got the legs to take it all at the very finish line. I want to hear your prediction again in the comment section below. I want to hear who you think is going to take this big sprint, this big finale that's coming up any second now. We've not seen any power-ups being popped in a long time, so that would make us assume that Ben, Richard, and Michael all holding on to that aero power-up going into the sprint here, as now, here we go. Ding, 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 ding. Final lap out on course. Final little effort now. Cook, Simpson, Elias. Who's going to be victorious, meaning 2nd place out of this bunch? Craig Keane is already back. He's already won. He's already off the front. Bearing any mechanicals, he's going to be the victor. After 7 weeks of racing, he's come back to take that throne and take another 20 points. But if you're Ben Simpson, getting those 19 points and, you know, digging away at the top, climbing up that ladder, looks very, very tasty for him right about now. We're about to hit the false flat where we have seen attacks before. Who's going to launch that attack now? This is just the ramp you can do. You go up, you go down, and you go up again for another kilometer. This is where, if you're Elias, if you're Cook, you can try and catch Ben out when he's on the front. Cook is properly, Richard is the guy who I would assume has got another 9-10 watts per kilo kick in him. We know he's a good time trialist. We know he knows how to measure an effort. He just has to choose the ramp. He has to choose the right moment out on course. Again, just like the Eastern eCrit, when you get to this point in the race, you can just feel the density in the air get thicker. Everyone is like looking around, everyone's getting nervous. I mean, if you were there racing right now, you can almost take a bite out of the nervousness in the air. That's how thick it is right now, as Ben is on the front yet again. Richard, Michael, all sitting in, about to come up to the switchback. This is where you can get another bit of acceleration and make a gap, but as soon as you do that attack, you've got to do it wholeheartedly. There's no half measures anymore. You've got to go all the way to the end alone. That's how you gotta play this, but we'll see if they're gonna keep it up. Coming down to a sprint. It's been a while since we've seen a sprint in the Western eCrit, so I'm not so sure between Ben, Michael, and Richard who would take this to the finish line. That's actually making it a bit exciting coming into this now, as we're about to head up to another false flat, another potential attacking ramp, as Cook 1 second back. Ben Simpson slowly ramping up the pace now. Cook a bit further back. Elias sitting at a 4.55 watts per kilo now, trying to get back on. The gap is there. There's 1 second gap there. There's no draft now, as Michael is getting back on, utilizing every single muscle in his body, that 81 kilogram body, getting back on. 3.5 kilometers left to go. They're going to turn right, go underneath the statue, turn left onto the false flat, and this is where we've seen Ben attack before, we've seen Richard attack before, but Michael is the new factor in this race together with Craig Keane. And Craig now out to a minute, and he looks like he's going to be the winner of this race, bearing any mechanicals. We have seen Lee Walsh before actually just drop out with a lap to go. Just said, nope, mechanical, I'm done. I would have won, but nope, this is it, I'm done. So it has happened before in this race, actually, in this specific course, but it looks like it won't happen this time now. It's Ben, Elias, Cook. This is the ramp. This is the ramp where you can make your attack. We're going to jump on the back with Richard now, because this is the rider that needs to attack. He's got the optimal positioning. He's sitting at the back. He can launch an attack off the front. His heart rate still low, still ready. He's letting go though. Richard is letting go. 5.5 watts. He's realizing this. He's ramping it up now. 6 watts per kilogram. A rookie mistake coming out of the Cook, as he is now getting back onto the group, and had to burn half a match there getting back on. But here he goes. Almost. Ben was ready for it. You saw it. Ben was just the same as I. He was like, oh, no, not quite yet. He was just feeling anticipation. It looked like Richard was gonna do the follow through. Ben hit 8 watts per kilogram, ready for the attack, but he didn't go for it. Michael's sitting in the back now. Michael has the optimal positioning, but going into that final climb, we're going to turn left. You know the drill. This is the final lap, ladies and gentlemen. Final ascent up the Trafalgar Square climb. And if you are Michael Elias, you've got to pray that you can hang on, because you probably have the best sprint going into the finish, considering you've got calves this big. But we'll see if you can hang on to it now, as they're going to turn left. And again, Richard Cook goes to the back. This man is a shark. This man smells blood. He knows just where to position himself. He lets Ben do all the work in the front. He sits in the back, and now he knows Ben is antsy. You saw that. Cook put in a bit of a dig, and within a second, Ben was ready. And now Richard can utilize that to his advantage. If Richard was to kick it up, slow it down, kick it up, slow it down, Ben would actually go into panic mode, I almost think. But here we go. No more hiding, no more panic mode. It's time to hit that launch button. In T-minus 3, 2, 1, we have liftoff, ladies and gentlemen. Let's see who can get out of Houston first. We've got on the left, we've got Ben, we've got Elias, Cook at 7 watts per kilogram. Again, Elias not really spinning that well. He is struggling at 70 RPM. It looks to be a gap coming over the top, but everyone is tired at this point. Elias getting back into the things, and Ben now sitting it all back together. We're gonna have another sprint finish on our hands. We've not seen a single power up out of these three guys for the last 5 laps. I'm gonna bet you they're all packing an arrow power up. They're all saving that arrow power up. And if you're listening, the moment to pop it is just after Admiralty Arch. A few riders from the Eastern eCrit spoke to me and asked, where's the right moment to pop an arrow power up? It is just after you leave Admiralty Arch. But as soon as you pop it, you have to rev up the engine. You have to start building up. You have to start, going faster and faster and faster, and then exploding. So if you're listening in, there's the free tip of the day. They can see La Flamme Rouge on the left side. That's 1 kilometer to go. Elias, Simpson, and Cook all sitting in. Now this time, Ben, for the first time of the last 3 laps, is going to the back of this group. Starting to look the other riders on now. Is he going to go first, or is it going to be Richard or Michael now? Making his way back up. They got one more switchback. Going to turn left, and then they're going to go on La Flamme Rouge, and we're going to see a sprint. In the meanwhile, Craig Keane is about to finish. He's got another 500 meters to go, and Craig Keane has won the 7th edition of the Western eCrit, taking all 20 points. Well done, sir. You are the man. You utilized the right moment to attack, and you were victorious. Now, looking further down, Ben, Michael, and Richard. 2 stable names and a newcomer who's looked really good so far, racing with heart out on course. 1 kilometer point 2, 1 kilometer point 1. Here we go. 1 kilometer left to go. Great racing so far as we're just hitting the 1 hour mark here in the Western eCrit. Got Ben on the front, Richard sitting on the right side, and Elias now making his way to the front. You would think Michael, with the legs he's got, should be the strongest coming into the sprint finish, but I would not count any of these riders out yet so far. You saw them going up the climb. They really, really were tired at that point, and now they've got to find another gear out on course. 700 meters to go now, 600 meters to go now. We're just about to go under Admiralty Arch, and it's time to see who's packing an arrow power-up. Are they all packing that Turkish blue power-up shell, or are they all just waiting for the right moment? Here we go, under Admiralty Arch. Who's the first one to launch the attack? Looking from the side, we've got Cook in the front, Ben in the middle, Elias in the back. Nobody gone just there, but here he goes. Elias has the drafting power, Ben has the arrow, but where's Richard? Elias, first one to go, 300 meters to go. Ben is in the wheel at 11 watts per kilogram, but there goes Cook, but it looks like Cook is done. And Ben Simpson with a turn of acceleration, but it's not just quite done yet, but it looks like the arrow power up is gonna be decisive. And Ben Simpson in 2nd place, Michael in 3rd on the line. It's gonna be Michael, and 4th place Richard Cook. Well done to everyone racing. In the end, arrow power up took it. I do think Elias, Michael with an arrow would have taken that, but in the end, Ben had it. Ben had the legs. Great racing to everyone. That is it for all the eCrit racing here today. 1st place, Craig Keane. 2nd place, Ben Simpson. 3rd place, Michael Elias. 4th place, Richard Cook. 5th place between Chen and Susiano. Thank you so much for watching today. My name has been Jesper Anker. Tonight over on the Zwift Facebook page, there will be Kids Europe and more Zwift racing. Thank you so much for watching, and it's been a pleasure. I'll see you guys same time next week.
I'm coughing. My coffee had some coffee beans in the bottom of it. Choking on them. That's a great way to start the day. All right. Hello. Good morning, or afternoon, or evening, wherever it is, wherever you are. Oh, yeah. Welcome to Life in Cycling with Mrs. Coach. It's not like somebody was just telling me to say that. I thought to do that all on my own. All right. Why is this so big? Just gonna take a moment and make sure I can see both my chats. Where'd the Facebook chat go? Darn it. Alright, sorry, there's always some troubleshooting involved with going live, at least for me. I'm not the professional in this house. Hey, Zizmansky. Yeah, I have to, Tuesday mornings now, I have to wait for Jesper to finish his race broadcast before I can go live. I lost my Facebook chat. Where is it? There we go. That and that. That's Oh, all right. Okay. We're waiting for Facebook feed. That's cool. You can do that. Get my legs moving this morning anyway. I'm live on the eCrit. Oh man. Huh? I'm live on the eCrit. Awesome. I don't know what that is. Is that the race Jesper was just broadcasting?